Hello friends! In today's video, we are going to unlock a whole new world of color without having to buy a single new ink pad and using what you already have on hand. So I'm going to show you how to layer your existing inks to create stunning custom shades using the Hero Arts layering stencil. It is a fun and easy way to stretch your supplies and bring more depth and interest to your stencil backgrounds. I'm also going to show you how I'm taking current products and combining them with previously released projects to get even more bang for our buck. I will have all of my supplies linked down below in the video description and over on my blog. This is the card that I'm going to be creating for you today, and it is going to be featuring some of our brand new products from June 2025 and also some previously released products. Those products include the Color Layering Beach Floor Stencil, the Fancy Die for June 2025, the card kit from June 2025, and then I'm also going to be using the nested rectangles die. For inks, I have the Intens-ified Black, Caramel, Fawn, Paradise, Bermuda, and Deep Ocean, and I'll also be using my Hero Arts blending brushes. The Color Layering Beach Floor Stencil is the previously released product, and it is a 3-piece layering stencil with registration corners to help for alignment. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is take a piece of white cardstock that's cut to 5.5 by 8.5, and I placed repositionable tape on the back to secure that down to my glass work surface. Then I'm going to take the first layer of the stencil. They are labeled in the bottom left-hand corner with an A, B, and C. And I'm going to secure this down using a low-tack tape so it's over the top of my cardstock. Then the ink colors that I'm going to be using to create my water is going to be Deep Ocean, Bermuda, and Paradise ink. This stencil also has some footprints at the bottom, and you can ink blend those if you like, but I'm going to mask them off because I just want the water portion of this. I'm going to start with my lightest shade, and that is going to be the Paradise ink, using my blending brush and starting down towards the bottom. So this is the part that's going to be closest to the sand. I'm going to ink blend about halfway up the stencil. Next, I'm going to take the next darkest color, which is going to be the Bermuda ink. Now, this one I am starting at the very top. So I'm going to blend this color down, and I'm also going to slightly overlap it with that previous color, which is Paradise. Also, at some point with this stencil, you are going to want to ink blend over each of those corners, those 4 corners, so that we have that in place for the next stencil. Now, my next color I'm using is going to be Deep Ocean. And this one, I am starting at the top once again, going right over the Bermuda. So we're essentially creating kind of our own unique color to this. I'll blend that about halfway down of what I blended with that Bermuda ink. Then once I have that blended, I can remove this first layer of the stencil. I'm going to bring in the second layer, line up those corners, and then hold that down once again with that low tack tape. This layer is going to add some details to our water, and it also has some seashells at the bottom, which again, I am going to mask that area off. Then I'm going to come in with those same colors that I used, and I'm going to go over the top of my previously blended area. So I started off with Paradise, blended about halfway up. Then I'm coming in with Bermuda, once again, going over the area that has the deep ocean in it, kind of blend that about halfway through. And then I'll come in with that deep ocean once again, right over the top. So we are not only overlapping colors, but we are also overlapping those colors with a layering stencil, and it creates the most unique color combination. Now we're going to bring in the third layer of the stencil. This is the last layer to our water. Now down at the bottom, it does create the beach. So I'm just going to put a strip of low tack tape down there to kind of control my ink blending. So I saved that for the beach colors. So I started at the very top with Deep Ocean and then came in with Bermuda. So with Deep Ocean, I really came in pretty heavy-handed to apply that dark color. Then I can remove that tape. I'm going to place it up above so that I'm kind of masking off my beach scene. And now I'm going to ink blend my beach. So I'm starting off with Fawn ink. This is the lightest of the 2 colors, kind of starting out a little heavy-handed and fading off so it's a little lighter towards the bottom. And then I'm going to come in with the caramel. And this one, I'm really trying to keep towards the edge of where the water is because when sand is wet, it is darker. So I'm trying to keep that darker color right along the edge. And between the layering of our ink and the layering of the stencil, we created the most magical beach scene. I'm going to trim my panel down using the largest of the nested rectangles, but you could also use your paper trimmer. I just really like the nice clean edges that the die provides. I'm going to stamp a sentiment. This sentiment comes off of the card kit for June 2025. There are a lot of great sentiments in that particular card kit that are going to match our scene. So I'm going to stamp that in the intensified black ink onto some white cardstock that I have left over from a previous project. And then I'm going to use the coordinating die to die cut that out. For some additional elements on the front of my card, I am going to use this Polaroid type looking die that is off of the Fancy Die of the Month for June 2025. And I'm also going to pull in this layered seashell. I die cut the Polaroid frame 3 times from a white cardstock and I'm going to layer it together with some liquid glue. What I've been liking doing lately is I'm adding the liquid glue to the top of 2 of the frames, and then I can just pick up my top frame and quickly pick them up and then just kind of move things and wiggle it in place. It's a really quick way to layer your die cuts. Now, I wanted to kind of diffuse the background a little bit. I loved having the Polaroid kind of almost looking like we took a picture of that beautiful beach scene, but it was a little bit too bright and I felt like it was sticking out just a little bit too much for me. So I diffused it with some vellum. I used the dye that actually kind of creates that backing for our Polaroid, and I layered that up twice with vellum. And then I layered up this seashell using Bellini and Chiffon cardstock from Spellbinders. So I popped up my seashell on my Polaroid using thin foam squares, and then I also added it to the back of the Polaroid. So it's popped up a little bit on the front of the cardstock. And then with the sentiment, I also layered that together with additional pieces of cardstock and then added it to the front of the card, slightly overlapping my Polaroid. I love being able to take products that are in the current release and pairing them with previously released products. It really helps stretch the use of all of my products and give my old products some new love. I hope you enjoyed these techniques of layering your inks with your layering stencils to create fun new colors and new looks, and I hope you apply these to your projects. Thank you all so much for joining me today.